Welcome back to Flint's Collectibles. Today we are going to do a full read through and review on Invincible Ultimate Collection Volume number 5. But before we dig into that, please be sure to go down below if you enjoy the content and like, comment, and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated and helps out a lot. So let's go ahead and dig in. Alright, so here's the front of volume number 5. As you can tell, it's got the same look on the front and the spine as all the rest of the volumes. The only difference is it's in purple, and it does have a cover price of $39.99. So let's go ahead and take off the dust jacket. So here it is without the dust jacket on. Looks exactly the same. So if you want to leave that off, you can. So let's go ahead and dig in. Alright, so open up to a nice purple entry page here. Invincible Ultimate Collection Volume 5, created by Robert Kirkman and Corey Walker. Unlike all the other opening parts, it's usually just got Mark on it. This one's got Mark and Adam Eve on it. It's really cool. So we start out with issue 48. Mark's talking to his friend who got taken by that guy, and he's talking about how he's having nightmares about it. And then we see Seismic talking about how he's gonna escape. And we start out with this big fight off with the good guys and bad guys. They're just fighting off this creature, or I guess creatures. And then Cecile gets called, so he's got to get a hold of Mark. Mark's out in Africa with Adam and Eve. They're trying to have a talk about the other stuff, but they're like, hey, well, we can talk about it here later. We have to go help them out. Everyone's been captured by this guy. They're underground, captured by spiders, and they're having a trying to figure out how to escape. And then here comes Mark and Adam Eve, and this one guy's escaped, but that guy's like, no, you don't. So they continue to fight. Adam Eve gets knocked out, so Mark starts pulling up the weight, but he gets knocked out by Seismic. He says, I win. So then we go to issue 49. Starts out with Cecile talking to the guy who makes his robots, and he's like, hey, we need to send him out to help them. So here they are. They show up to save and help out. And everyone gets let free, so then they start fighting off all these creatures and this bad guy. But then Mark still remembers that this guy right here has murdered somebody in the past, and he's like, no, like, I am not gonna work with you. And they're like, hey, give him a chance, he's helped us out. And Mark's like, nope, I'm out of here. So then Adam Eve goes to check on Mark, and they start to talk, and he ends up leaving because he's real upset. So he goes to Cecile to figure out what's been going on. Then he finds out that he's also working with this guy who created the robots that took over his friend. So he's upset. So he's in the White Room, and then he gets ambushed, pretty much. So then we go to issue 50. So now he's trying to fight his way out. He's taking all these bad guys, and he realizes, hey, I am outnumbered, so I need to find a way to get out of here. When he tries to escape, Cecile's like, hey, I put something in your ears so that when you start to not listen, I'm gonna push a button to knock you out. So he's going through all these portals trying to find Mark, and then he ends up dropping him out. Then the Guardians of the Globe are like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, Mark's being attacked. And he's like, yeah, I know, because I've been doing it. So then they have this big old argument. Each of them takes their own sides. And they end up trying to take out all these robots. So he keeps hitting this button. So he takes out the button. But by doing that, he creates the frequency to happen all the time now. So then Mark's trying to fight while this thing is in his head going off. And he just doesn't agree. He's saying, you know what? We are through working together. So then he's like, you ever come around again and I will kill you. So then he's like, robot, take this out of my ear. So he ends up taking out his ear. He comes home and his mom and Adam and Eve are all worried about him, and he's all upset. He just got so much stuff going on. He don't know what to do. And he's saying, man, Adam, Eve, I just love the way you smell, your smile, the sound of your voice, the way. And there you go. And they kiss. And his brother's like, that's gross. Now we go to a background story about Steele and how he came out to be who he is. And it talks about how he got his scar and how he got involved with helping out the government and helping out Guardians of the Globe, and how they gave him a chance, and it's how he found Omni-Man, and he was keeping an eye on him, and he knew he was lying about what he told him, and he's like, I know, I'll take care of it. We go to issue 51, which this is awesome artwork right here. And this one starts out with Mark helping his brother learn how to fly, and the Guardians of the Globe have now split into a new group that is the former base of the team. So it's Adam Eve helping them unpacking everything, and she's like, my ex isn't acting like a jerk anymore now, which is awesome. And then there's the Guardians of the Globe group that's left, and they're like, so what are we gonna do? Like, I don't have enough people. And they're like, hey, like, I have it figured out. Darkwing is gonna help us out. So they're all like kind of happy, but some are kind of confused. We go back to the stone guy who's like the mafia guy and his little story, but then we go back to Mark's little brother trying to figure out his new like outfit, to like his name, to now Mark needs a new outfit. So there it is, blue and black. And then Adam Eve is coming back home to live, so she's asking her mom if she can live there, and she's still upset with her dad. But while that's going on, Mark and his brother are out fighting bad guys. And then here's that particular base that they just last volume got broken into, and then the twins are out there again to take it over again. So Mark and his brother walk in on his mom, their mom having a new boyfriend, which is awkward. While that's going on, Mark's on the roof. He's real upset about just his mom and all this other stuff and just everything that's going on right now. But while that's going on, somebody's watching him. And then you find out it's that guy from the other volume who has combined all of his different versions into one. And he's like, young love, how interesting. We go to issue 52. And that starts out with them taking over the nuclear base. Awesome 2-page spread right there. Love it. And then Mark and his little brother are there to help out, so they get called in, and they're just taking out the brothers, and Mark's going after the nuclear missile. So while he's doing that, his little brother is fighting off these bad guys, but he totally kills it. I mean, look at this artwork. Amazing. Blood, gore, and everything. And then the other guy's, alright, just don't hurt me. And he's like, oh, you're gonna make this easy for me, huh? And he just punches him right up in the head. His eyeballs are coming out of the top of his head. I mean, destroys him. And he's like, it was an accident, I swear. So while that's going on, Mark is taking out the nuclear missile out in outer space, so he blows it up out there. Then he comes back to his little brother having an encounter with the Pentagon, or like, hey, it's okay. And he's like, don't even talk to him. He's my little brother, you leave us alone. So Mark's real upset because of what he did, so him and his little brother start talking about it. And then he's like, well, haven't you ever had a thought about something you should do that you probably shouldn't do? And he's like, sometimes. So we go to issue 53. Mark and Adam Eve are out having a date up in the mountains, and he's talking to her, and she's like, hey, you don't have to explain to me. If you have something on your mind, let's go handle that and come back to all of this. I understand you're a superhero. So then Mark comes back home to try to talk to his little brother, and he just ends up arguing with them. So he's real upset and mad, and you can just tell he's upset. But Adam Eve is always what holds him, brings him back down to level his head. And then here's him emptying out his old apartment because he's moving out of there, since he isn't ever at school anyway. And then Hark's flying around, and he ends up running into the guy he helped out in the past, and they end up having a disagreement and fight. And while that's going on, this big dragon shows up, and he's like, screw this, I'm leaving. So then Mark's left to fight off this dragon. Then this other guy that he's encountered earlier. Then we go back to the stone guy and his group, and how they're not agreeing with how he's like running stuff, so they're gonna go to war with him. So then Mark was gonna go fly to talk to Adam Eve, and they end up running to each other, and they kiss, and she ends up making it all better. Then here's Mark and his little brother again, and he's more level-headed talking to his brother. His brother's at that teenager age, and he's like, I can do that, come here. And then his little brother sees that somebody's over there watching him. Then we go to issue 54. Mark and Adam Eve are out on a date in Paris now. But then these guys from the previous issue, who just randomly showed up and took some artifacts, come to take Mark out. So then he was like, I'll be right back again for our date. And then now Mark's in the future to help these guys. They end up getting captured by the police. And then he's like immortal, but immortal's like got a different name. He's a king now. He's real upset because he can never like leave, because everyone around him ends up dying because he isn't able to die. He's like, just go ahead and just kill me. And he's like, I don't want to kill you. And he's like, you got to. So then he just rips his head off. I mean, blood and gore everywhere. And then these two guys are like, whoa, dude. Like, that was pretty intense. He's like, I am ready to go home now. And they're like, I understand. So they literally drop him back off exactly where he left, which helps him out so he can talk to Adam Eve. And him and Adam Eve have a date out in Paris, and it's got this awesome 2-page artwork here. about them going on dates in Paris and Egypt and outer space, and they're having such a great time and all the stuff that they've been through, and she's always loved him and he's always loved her, and they end up kissing. And they're just having a great time. Then we go to issue 55, and this is the one where the deed happens. Bow chicka wow wow.
You can do it all night long! I'm gonna go do it!
There. But while that's going on, then we get a story about Alan and Omni-Man when they're in prison, about how they're captured and what's happening there, because he got captured so he could help out his dad. So Alan gets a crew together, including Battle Beast, which is an awesome character, because when Mark fought him, he about killed him. So he ends up getting this group together to save Omni-Man. So they break in, and it's funny because this guy is the first time I've ever seen him look a little bit scared. But he's like, alright, I must face you in battle. Fight me. So they have this big old brawl with these Ultramites who have them held captive. Just people getting destroyed. They get thrown in outer space, and then not everybody can breathe in outer space. So there's the captain of the Ultramites, and Alan and Omni-Man work together and just obliterate this guy's head. Like, just knock him out. And then Alan and Omni-Man talk. They're talking about what's gonna happen next. While that's going on, Mark's mom comes trying to knock on his door, and she's unable to get in because he's like, oh, I'm asleep. And they go back to making out again in issue 56. So now it's in the morning after they've done, Bow Chicka Wow Wow. And then Mark's little brother wants in, and she pulls a sheet on her lower half, and he's like, what's going on in here? And he's like, oh, it's nothing. And then his mom sees Adam Eve fly out of his bedroom, and she's like sleeping. I know what he was doing. I'm a mom. While it's going on, Kid Omni-Man's, which is his name he wants to go by, is now going off on his own adventure. While it's going on, Amber has called Mark to talk about something, and it's something real serious. Like, he knew something was going on, so he heads over there, and she is like, something horrible has happened. And then she's got a punch in the face, and find out that it was her boyfriend because he got upset. Her new boyfriend that she's in love with. While that's going on, Mark's little brother is fighting off this bad guy. Mark's got this boyfriend held up and be like, hey, if you ever do this again, I will kill you. He's super pissed off, like just mad as can be. Then Mark finds out that his brother's going off on this battle by himself, so he goes off to help him, and he's like, hey, you should have asked me to help you out. And then Mark comes back to talk to Amber again. She's like, I appreciate you talking to him. He apologized. He was so sorry. So then Mark comes to tell Adam Eve, and she's at first like offset by it, but then she realizes you thought about her, and you know that she knew to trust you, and I appreciate that. And it's the first time, wow, that Mark's just just relaxed. Like, Adam Eve, he loves her a lot, and she helps to keep him level. But what's going on, he finds out that his camera's been watching him, and when he grabs it, it just blows up. So then we go to issue 57 of him bringing the camera pieces back to try to figure out with Robot who it is and who's been watching them. So he's going off to talk to Steel to figure out if it was him. If it wasn't, then if he knows who. A lot's going on. There's a little side story here with this guy who's part wolf, part person and this other guy who looks like Battle Beast, and how he's got something going on with that, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. And then Mark's talking to Steel, and he's like, hey, could you help me out with something? So this wolf guy is fighting off this giant, like, Titan looking creature thing, and Mark's like, hey, I'll help you out, and then you and I can talk. So the Titan creature is actually a kid who got pulled into some other dimension, turning him into that thing. So they're trying to figure out how to turn him back to a kid, and they're holding him. And so while that's being taken care of, Mark's talking to this guy, and they have a big old disagreement, and they decide to talk it out. And he's like, I didn't kill her, because I think he killed his wife. That's what if I remember right. And then he goes talking about what really happened and how he didn't do it. So then he takes him to the Pentagon, because that's who he was supposed to go and bring back. And Saskill thinks he still killed her, even though he says he didn't. So Mark and him disagree, so he takes his side, and then here we go again, surrounded by these guys. So then they're surrounded, so they're trying to fight off all these bad guys, and they're trying to escape. And then these guys are like, no, you can't keep showing up, and then just keep heading out and just messing everything up. So then they have a big old fight. Him and Immortal fight it out, and they realize how much stronger Invincible has gotten over time, and they just have this huge fight, throwing each other around. Then they try to escape again, and he's like, hey, I appreciate you helping out. So then he brings them back home, the Hampton Estate, and this is like his butler, and he comes out to check on him, and he's like, I appreciate you helping us out, and he's telling him what's been going on. And then he ends up heading out, and then he meets up again with this guy who's part wolf and man, and also this other guy who's in the shadows. And he's like, something I thought I might never have again, a friend. So he's friends with now, but Cecile now knows where that guy lives. So that's him talking about, well, we know where he lives now, so we'll just keep an eye on him and figure out what to do with that. I go to issue 58. And this one starts with Adam and Eve going to court, or going to a place to help out Mark, and she's like, I hope he appreciates it. Well, that's going on. Monster Girl and Robot are talking about how she's still aging, but Robot has found a way to keep her from aging. She's like, I appreciate that a ton. And then we go to Immortal and Duplicate having a house and story about all that. And then we go back to one of the old characters, the fish guy. He's all alone, just chilling, nothing to do. And then we go back to Adam, Eve, and Mark fighting off some more bad guys. And then this guy's getting a new suit. And then this guy's talking to Darkwing and how what's happened about the thing with the girl that killed and all that stuff. So they're talking about that. And then we go back to Mark and Adam and Eve, and they finally sit down and like talk about everything that's been going on. And there's her and Mark making it again, just in love. And then we go back to Mark's little brother and how he's like learning a bunch of stuff so quickly. What's going on? Mark captures another one of these robots and it blows up again. And this is an add-in from the other issue where the guy that came back from outer space had the creature in him still, and he's like, soon we will take over. So then we go back to Monster Girl and Robot, and she's like showing him how the belt and everything works. So then this is pretty cool somewhere else, and it's like a bunch of versions of Invincible, and he's like, it's a start. So that guy with the ugly looking head has now got a bunch of Invincibles. So what's his plan there? We go to issue 59, and this one, I mean, awesome looking artwork, by the way. This one's with the guy. It's like his like background story and how he has created a costume where he gets hit, and then he takes that blow and disperses it out at others. So it's how he used to work at the Pentagon, but he's been like taking parts to make his outfit from the Pentagon, and how they're gonna find out, and he's worried about the safety of his wife and son. So he knows that they're onto him, so he's starting to kind of lose it when he uses his power more and more. He gets angry, and his wife's able to tell, so he's trying to find a way out of all of being attached. So he has a plan to have them close by, like they're captured, but he has them held hostage, but it's actually his wife and his son, because he wants to draw Invincible in. So he draws Invincible close to him, and they have a big old fight, and then he's just got this crazy charge on Mark. Like, he just wants to kill him, because his sister, I think it was in a building when Omni-Man and Invincible fought it out, and they killed her, which of course, like, Mark said, I'm sorry, like, that happened to you, I wish that didn't happen. So he's got this full rage to just kill him, even though he doesn't know the whole thing. So he ends up trying to kill Mark, and by doing that, he supercharges the room, and they're close by, so he destroys his, like, destroys his wife and his son, which is horrible. Like, just kills him. And he's like, you made me do this. And Mark's like, what? And he's like, I'm gonna fight you now. So he thinks Mark's at blame again. He's not taking the blame for what he did. So then Mark has to bring him back to being a human, because when he's charged, he's just not thinking right. So then when that happens, then Mark's talking to him in prison, and they're talking, and he's still like, if I get out of here, I'm gonna kill you. And Mark's like, no, that's not gonna happen. So then we go to the end with all the different artwork, like the rough sketches to the actual final drawings. Awesome looking artwork. This one's cool. Mark with like a venomized look. And then here's like rough sketches to the final artwork, uncolored. Just really cool to like see all the artwork. Here's another one. I just like love looking at how the artwork is drawn out to the final artwork. Really cool. So really neat looking sketches. Go after that. Afterwards, and then here's the trade paperback covers for volume 10 and volume 11. Really cool. I love these artwork pieces. They look really neat. It's a cool add-in. And then that's it. Alright, there it is. Invincible Ultimate Collection volume number 5. Now this volume, my takeaways are I'm finally happy that Adam, Eve, and Mark are finally together as boyfriend and girlfriend, as I had hoped would happen, because I think Adam, Eve would be a great girlfriend for Mark to have. And they finally did the deed, the Bound Chicka Wow Wow deed. And Mark is finally starting to find who he is. And now the question is, what's going to happen with Mark and Adam Eve, Mark's little brother? How much powerful is he going to get? Who's this guy that's got all these different versions of Mark from other different realities? What's his plan? And this guy that Mark fought at the end that ended up killing his own wife and son, like when he escapes, what is he gonna do? So there's many questions also with Alan and Mark's dad. What's gonna happen with that now that he's escaped? So what's his plan? Is he gonna come back? What's gonna happen? Like, just so many different questions. I cannot wait to read volume number 6. So until next time, peace.
Thank you.